Good day, everyone. This is Rainilyn Lagaylay, and today I'm going to talk about one of the famous author in the Renaissance period. So, before we go to the author, let's have a little background about the era. The name Renaissance is a French word which means rebirth. It symbolized the beginning of a new era of art, rebirthing the classical models of ancient Greek and Rome periods while using the modern techniques. It was rumored to begin in the period from 1350 until the year 14,000, starting in Florence, Italy, before spreading out to the rest of the country. It cultivated a new change in art, knowledge, and culture. It changed the way the citizens thought with first rediscovery of classical philosophy, literature, and art, as well as the new discoveries in travel, invention, and style. The term Renaissance man refers to highly influential people who shaped this period of time. So, one of the famous authors in this era is John Milton. John Milton is an English poet, pamphleteer, and historian, and also considered the most significant English author after William Shakespeare. Milton enrolled at Christ College, Cambridge in 1625 in order to be educated for the ministry. He was later on temporarily expelled due to the conflict of one of his tutors. He was later reinstated under another tutor, Nathaniel Tovey. In 1629, Milton was awarded a Bachelor of Arts degree, and in 1632 he received a Master of Arts degree. Now, in cultural, political, historical influences in the literature, the tension and political turmoil that surrounded John Milton undoubtedly influenced his great work Paradise Lost. The poem, also viewed as a political allegory that represents and embodies the political pandemonium during the time. It is said that the players' situations and concepts that were depicted in Paradise Lost reflect actual true-to-life people and events that had occurred during Milton's life. Accordingly, these happenings helped to shape Paradise Lost and also provide Milton with a structure and a chain of events to weave into his epic. So, the one of his famous work is The Paradise Lost. So before we tackle on the summary, let's have its theme. The theme of the poem is the man's first disobedience. Adam and Eve's disobedience to God reflects the humankind sins for generations. On the other hand, both Adam and Eve understand that their disobedience to God will be corrected through repenting and generations of toil on earth. Milton's poem also has other theme aside from disobedience. Another theme of the poem is eternal providence. If man did not obey God and have avoided death would not have entered the world. On the other hand, Adam and Eve was given opportunity for God to show love, mercy, and grace that produce ultimate greater good. The tone of the epic poem is lofty, formal, and also tragic. So the characters involved is first and foremost God, ruler of heaven and the universe, all-knowing defender of divine justice and free will. He endowed all creatures with free will so that their love and obedience is by choice. Adam, the first human created by God, curious, smart, and rational. Even though he is created to be innocent and perfect, he still falls upon temptation. Eve, the first woman, beautiful and smart, and is Adam's companion. She was considered by Adam to be his equal, and sadly she became the target of Satan and was easily tempted. Michael, an archangel, guides Adam and Eve out of paradise. Satan, he was casted on hell and became an enemy of God. He is also known as Lucifer and became an outcast after waging a battle against God and other fallen angels whom he convinced to join in his rebellion. And lastly, sin and death, children of Satan in hell. So, setting and mood. The mood of the poem is serious, tragic, and sad, for the events in the poem is nothing to be laughed about since it involves some serious events. Hell, an uncomfortable and dark, really hot and cold place, is one of the setting in the poem. Next is heaven, is a peaceful place and a bright one, unlike that of hell. And lastly, the Garden of Eden. It is expected to be the paradise where every living things exist and all animals get along. And lastly, weather is perfect. So the narrative device used in the poem is framing story, or also known as story within a story. This device is used to tell another story within a story that connects or somehow related. The Paradise Lost probably used this device since there are 3 or 4 stories that connects with each other, particularly from God to Satan and to Adam and Eve's story. So, now for the summary of the plot. At the beginning, Lucifer planned on having a rebellion against God. He convinced some angels to join him, and God punishes Lucifer and the other angels, casting them away from heaven, and was put in the lake of fires where they are chained, and Lucifer became Satan by its name. God has a plan for humankind, and he also tells the other angels about Satan's intentions, and the Son volunteers himself to make sacrifice for humankind. Actually, Satan freed himself from the hell together with his fallen angels. His children, sin and death, built a bridge towards earth where he disguised himself of any kind to enter paradise. He deceived all other angels for his act of goodness. As the guardian angels know about the impostor, they began to search the Garden of Eden. And at the same time, Adam and Eve was in the Garden of Eden where Satan roamed and disguised himself. At first, Satan fails on deceiving Eve about the tree of life. They were warned by the angels about the corruption and intentions of Satan and that they need to watch out and be careful. The war between the angels and Satan's army took place and lasted for 2 days. After the war, Satan enters the Garden of Eden once again, and after studying all the animals, he disguised himself as the serpent. At that moment, Eve and Adam agreed to work separately to have more works done at the moment. Um, Satan eventually found Eve, and Eve was amazed by the animal that can speak, and Satan tempted her to eat from the tree that is forbidden, and so that she will know that how do animals speak like him. When Adam found out that Eve ate the fruit, he decided to join her for her fallen, then remaining pure and lose her. As he ate the fruit, his looks on Eve changed, and they both turned to lust. God knows their disobedience and tells the angels that they must be punished with both justice and mercy. Satan was condemned with his body to never walk upright, and as Satan returns to hell, all of them rejoice. Adam and Eve, on the other hand, will feel pain and suffer. Eve and other women will feel pain of delivering a child and must submit to their husbands. Adam and all men will work hard and must raise their family. And God told his angels to change earth, and both Adam and Eve experienced many negativities, but they realized that their mistakes and they repent to God. They believe that they can enact revenge with Satan by remaining obedient to God. The Garden of Eden was no longer by their possession since God um, put them away there and changed the earth. So that is the summary of the plot. And the moral lesson there is the paradise lost is somewhat a mirror of the human life. Adam and Eve's disobedience show us that men are easily tempted on the things that is a sin, and it cannot be denied that it happens to all of the people. Repenting of on our sin and avoiding temptation is a clear lesson for us in order to be forgiven by God. Satan seeks his revenge on earth, and sin and death is always with him that may provoke people to do bad things and later on regret. There are two moral lessons that represents the paradise lost, and these are redemption and disobedience. If people will always disobey God, it may be their downward of increasing sin and degradation. Redemption, as represented by Adam and Eve, might save every being if they turn away from their sins and repent. So, that's all for the Paradise Lost by John Milton, who is one of the famous writer in the Renaissance period. So I hope you guys have learned something, and be healthy, and God bless us all.